Hey, hello, good evening, and greetings to Conversations with Ed. We had a really exciting day yesterday with elections and whatnot. Got so busy I forgot to invite somebody on to talk tonight. So you just stuck with me. We're going to put up the phone number right away so that if anybody has any questions about what I'm talking about, which I don't know what that will be yet until we get started. But once again, thanks for welcoming me into your home. Please pick up your phone, call your friends, tell them to turn on. I don't know what he's going to talk about, but it should be interesting. How about that? Okay, that's confidence. I do have my very special guest with me, who usually is with me, and we all know who she is. But I'll bring her up in a minute. Just want to kind of kick around a couple of things, and maybe you guys can call up and help me out with it, all right? One of the things that I want to talk about is how great yesterday was for us, and by us I mean Democrats, code word for black folks. But at any rate, we showed them, came out and voted in force like we know we can do, and across the country you saw the colors changing from red to blue. And I thought that was very, very exciting, and also what was supposed to happen. Shows the mood of the country. The country has not been Trumpicized. In fact, it shows kind of a wish that we didn't have to be bothered with this guy that we're gonna have to spend the next 4 years trying to correct all of the damage that he's done. But yesterday was a really good step in that process. I hope you agree with me. If you don't agree with me, let's call me up. That's why I'm here. And the number's going to be 915-5202. That's the 804. 804-915-5202. Conversations with Ed. All right? So with that being said, I'm going to bring on like I said, my own very private special guest, Miss Charlene, the lovely Charlene. And that's not just for TV. I call her that at home too, the lovely Charlene. That's my baby.
Do you call me Mister?
I didn't miss nothing. see how we go. Mm-hmm. So here you are. How you doing?
This is what you do when you have a husband and a husband has a wife. You support each other, right?
That's the way.
He said he had nobody on his show today, so I guess I'm nobody.
No, I said I have my very special guest.
Okay, let's see. We'll start it off with a bang. A little argument.
Give me some. Beep, beep.
But I'm excited about the election results. What they said, we had a blue tidal wave coming in and just washing away many of the Republicans. But we've got to hold these guys accountable, okay? We've got to hold them accountable. You just can't expect our vote and then you come in and forget about us and think we'll be there the next time. No. But they will only remember if we remind them, just like most people. So we've got to remind them what they need to do for us. And we've got to decide what we want them to do for us. What do we want?
Yeah,
better schools?
Well, one of the things that they did do was finally, and it's what you were saying to the young lady last week, Carol, when she was on, if you're going to run for office, you have to build it up. You can't just come out and say, I'm running for office. You have to build up a following. And you have to have those followers go out and attract more followers and get your points out and get them argued about and get them cemented into theory and then go ahead and run for the vote. But you didn't see a lot of that this time around. You didn't see a lot. You saw some negative ads coming out between the two Northern and Gillespie. I forgot his name already. It's gone. But this whole election process, I think
it's wonderful. Don't just knock it.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to say.
Don't knock it.
I think it's wonderful because we're one of the very few countries that have this type of transition of government. Historically, never ever have we had any other problem other than sorting out which road to freedom we were going to take.
I was listening to the news, or maybe reading it, I kind of get confused. And they said the Russians have been trying to hack our election system since about 1950 something. This is not the first year.
Of course.
It's just the first year that the opposition party has kind of invited them to come in. And that's not a good thing.
That's a shame. And this shows you dirty tricks. I remember Attorney General's wife during the Nixon era, and she said, "There's dirty tricks in the White House. There's dirty tricks going on in the White House," and everybody thought she was crazy. But guess what? There were dirty tricks going on in the White House, and they found them out. And Watergate, say Watergate, okay? So they were trying.
Or something.
Yeah, Tricky Dick.
I am not a crook.
But, you know, I mean, that's politics. And see, we're at a point now when it's more than politics. I mean, we have a society that has become almost a mirror image of the entire world. You go shopping here, you see people from all over the planet that are here as one. They're Americans, and they should be welcomed. You know, one of my very first shows I had on my doctor's son, and
Oh yeah, and he's a
Sikh.
Yeah,
And they wear
And
the
all
turbans,
that,
and they were getting confused with Muslims because of our mentality. We think anybody that has a turban on automatically is a Muslim. Not so true. And we found that out. We had him give a nice conversation about what his people have been subjected to here in the United States. Dr. Sidhu, if you do get a chance to run across this, we miss you, okay? And like to have you back. But at any rate,
Are they still in Virginia, as far as you know?
yeah. He invited me down to go trap shooting with him on his property. And he said we could go hunting, but I don't hunt. You know, I target shoot. Had a good time target shooting last week. One of our church members invited us out, and what we
Excuse me.
Nice time. That's a great hobby for me anyhow. So the line is open. If you guys want to talk to us about, get a conversation going, I think that would be pretty good. But meanwhile, while you're
Excuse me,
thinking about
I've got this cold. I'm just going to excuse myself for a minute.
Okay, all right, she'll be back. We've been running pretty hard, and my lady has not really been getting the kind of rest that she should get. But as I was saying, with all the excitement with the election, and in our case with grandkids, brand new one, 8.5 pounds born. I think I spoke about the little guy last week. So we've been very, very busy, but not too busy to get here and do this hour with you folks. I happen to enjoy that. And I would enjoy it more if there was more interaction between you, the audience, and us. But again, the election is what's the hot button for tonight, and maybe some plans for what we should be looking for in the future. What do you think? Huh? I did have a really good, and I did not forget, and you notice I don't have my hat up here, my veteran's hat, but I do have a really good note to make. We have gotten out of this election, or not even an election, President Trump actually appointed a really good director of veteran services for the United States Army. So he'll be handling all of the issues that vets have coming out. There'll be some changes, and I think they're going to be positive changes. We might even get an increase. It's been about 3 or 4 years since we've gotten an increase, but with them bringing, I believe his name is Burns, really good guy to put in that position. Not that his predecessors haven't been good. I mean, they've been good to Togo White, and brain, that's what happens, age. But this guy has made it his promise that he's going to do the best that can be done for veterans. So we're going to look forward to that. Togo West, there you go, thank you. I lost the man's name. I guess y'all know I had brain surgery, so I don't remember too much of anything, and that's actually pretty good. So somebody give me a call. Let's get a discussion going. Let's get an argument going, even something like that, and let's see what we can dig up. I don't want to just sit here and make up conversation. I do want to thank Miss Carol Adams for being on last week and sharing her knowledge with us. And no, she didn't get elected, but that doesn't mean that she's going to be out of the field or that she's dropping out or whatnot. I'm sure we're going to hear some more things from Ms. Adams. And I would like to say right now, anytime you want to come on my show, whether it's this session or the next session or whatever, you're always welcome. I'm very happy to have met you, and I really do feel like you're an excellent person. So that being said, come on back, give me a call, say, Ed, I'm free. I got 3 more weeks to go, or 2 more weeks to go. So you can get on either one of those and talk about what you're gonna do different to win the election next time around. Make sense? And the other thing we did get a chance to talk about last week was all of this bullying that's going on in schools, and the kids are being affected with all of the danger that's enveloping Richmond. We're becoming the murder capital.
Doesn't matter. Well, it does matter where they're coming from, but we've got to protect our own. And as a parent, a grandparent, and a member of many social organizations, with a background, a little background in education, we've got to make sites available where the children can come, where the youth can come. Years ago, there were gyms where they could come and play basketball. I mean, anybody could just come in there and shoot the ball. And there might be water, there might be refreshments available, there might not be, but there were counselors, there were adults with good sense, and they were able to gain the trust of some of these kids and prevent a lot of this violence. These kids don't know how to settle arguments without shooting, and that's I'm gonna tell you something. I was just here, and we were waiting for the studio to open, and I told you there was a man, and this was an elderly man, arguing. I didn't hear the argument because I was outside of the studio, of the situation where the room that he was paying his cable fees. Okay, but it must have been a violent argument because he came out of that place cussing and huffing and puffing. And my thoughts were, suppose this man, he had a big truck. He went in this truck and he sat there for a while. And I'm saying to myself, where am I going? And what am I going to do when he comes in here with his rifle or his gun and starts shooting up the place? That's the awful, but that's where my head went.
That's the state of mind.
Yeah, that's my state of mind. And I'm wondering, I said, I talk to everybody. So I said, well, do I tell him, well, just give me a minute to get out of here when he comes in here with the rifle? Will he be mad because I said that and shoot me? Or should I just try to run out and then will he turn around and shoot? I can't hide because the little area is too small and I got this bright shirt on. And that's awful. That's really bad.
That is. And you're telling me that now. And I'm sorry to hear that you felt like that.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't leave you alone for you to get out, buddy. I was parking the car. Hello, caller. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. and Mrs. Y'all look beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Nice to hear from you, too.
Very elegant.
Ah, boy, that's great. Nice to hear that.
Oh, yeah, but they don't know anything about that word anymore. That's the problem.
There you go. That is the problem. Absolutely.
That is the problem. And, sir and ma'am.
Charlene?
We're in about a time, and Satan coming on in the churches. See, You don't know if your children mess with you and gonna come in and shoot up your church.
Oh, isn't that amazing?
They come in the house, they in for a surprise.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever heard.
I've been honest with you now. You can't take nothing for granted. You think you know, but you don't know.
Well,
You don't know.
you're trying.
This is real bad, and all we got to do is keep trying to talk. If you can talk, it's really hard to talk to especially black women. And they go, contagious. I don't know, God will take care of them. The black women, they're 60, 70, and you're trying to talk with them. They got attitudes. And see, you don't realize your children are watching you.
That's true. That's very true.
That's when I grew up.
No, not when I.
That was in charge. They knocked your brains out.
Oh yeah.
No, you didn't play. No, you didn't play. But see, it won't be long. And I'm just calling in to tell y'all to keep looking up because redemption is drawing near.
Yes, it is. As it is written, so shall it
The
be.
Father is not going to put up with this foolishness.
But
So much longer. Ain't no church gonna save you now.
I agree.
Cause he gonna take it away from me. I never knew you. So I'm just calling in to let you know that it takes more than a building. It takes your heart.
That's true. I agree.
It knows your heart. I don't care where you live, your money, or what you look like. This has nothing to do with it. Cause all of us are nothing but dirt. I don't care what color you are. You're dirt.
Well, thank you for calling.
Get away from me. I never knew you. So I just had to call in to be honest. People put in their hearts, love, and respect, and help one another. God, that's only two things He asks you to do is to love Him. And love your neighbor as yourself.
And
So I say good evening, sir and ma'am.
Charlene and
Thank
Ed.
you.
And thank
Charlene
you.
and Ed, yeah.
Okay,
Thank
very
you.
nice. She calls in it just about every show.
Well, you know, she said a few things that I,
Quite a few things.
a whole lot of stuff. You have a generation of people out there now, they're not even kids anymore, that have never, ever, ever known real love.
Yeah.
Now, I saw this in the school system when my youngest, who's now 30-something, was in school. They were kindergarten kids coming to school with dressed dirty, with their hair not done, because the parents were, we used to call them crackheads, I don't know which, addicted to something, okay? And they didn't know love, so it's hard to reach. Before you could, and I was a school teacher one time, you could hug a kid and they would hug you back, but these kids would cringe if you hugged them. So having not known love, they don't know how to give it, and now they're out there shooting each other. They don't know how to solve. They don't know how to sit down and talk. So I'm not saying it's impossible to reach them, but we've got to divide. There must be a way.
Well,
There has to be a way.
I was talking with our daughter, Tandy, the other night, and we were talking about the same thing. And she said, you know what it is? They've been desensitized.
That's true, too.
Because from the time they're born till they now 19, 20, whatever the case might be, they're looking at games, car theft, go command, shoot the guns here, shoot the guns there. That's what they're looking at. When they get off of the games, they turn on the TV. I mean, there was a time when you couldn't show a gun on TV.
I remember.
All right. Now that's all you see. I mean, we love NCIS, but NCIS they're shooting people.
And they're showing a disproportionate number of black criminals doing very bad things on TV now.
TV.
Now, I remember with Tropical Beat, they used to send for me to go to the Billboard Awards show in Hollywood, and maybe the week before we would have meetings, and MTV and BET, everybody would be there, and we would tell them, we would make an agreement with the record companies, no more guns in your videos. And for maybe a year, maybe 2 years, you didn't see guns in videos. You saw violence. And now, I don't know, all hell broke loose, it seems, because you see nudity and everything out there. But we let them know that it was a pact. We're not going to play it if you put it in there. And they would have some. I mean, they would even edit special videos for Tropical Beat because I wouldn't show it. But now the people just want to make the money, and that's the name of the game, I guess.
Well, we're going to stay the same. We're getting ready to bring Tropical Beat back. I know I've said it to you a couple of times over the last 2 or 3 years, but it's not easy to bring a television show on the air. It costs money.
Lots of it.
And it costs talent. And this is the talent. But now we want to bring, again, some of the youngsters out, let them show some of their new ideas and et cetera, but it's still going to be, welcome to Tropical Beat. This week we're in Jamaica. Or wherever we're going. We have some places that we haven't been that we'd like to take.
Ethiopia is what?
Oh, yeah.
Would love to go there.
We're going to go do Ethiopia. We have an Ethiopian young lady there, baby's mom.
We've got a lot of history with Ethiopia. And we want to go.
Most of the history of the world started right in that part of the world.
And there are other parts of Africa that we haven't been in, and some parts. Kenya, yeah.
I had a chance to play drums and dance and become one of the Zulus. I'm a Zulu.
That's South Africa.
Yeah, that's right. That's South Africa. But now it's time to go see the Maasai.
East Africa.
Maasai. I want to go see the Maasai in Kilimanjaro.
And if they just can sell, they have a lot of stuff going on over there right now.
We don't care.
He's with special forces. He doesn't care. I care. I want to make sure I can go and return.
Well, I couldn't get into the Ghanaian airport. I was already on the ground. I was going to meet our cameramen to bring them in for us to do our Tropical Beach show in Ghana, West Africa. I came in the airport. I came through the first 2 security checks, showing my passport, telling them what I had to do. They said, go right ahead. I got to the last security point, and there's this big, huge sergeant. I mean, his shirt is so tight on his arms, his muscles are bulging. He's got a gun on his side. And I looked down, he got another gun on his ankle and whatnot. And I said, here's my passport. I'm going in to meet our cameraman and so. He said, you can't go in. I said, you mean I can't go in? The guys sent me up here. The 2 of them told me I could come in this way. He said, you can't come in. I said, but I have to go in. He said, you can't go in. So I'm thinking to myself, now how important is it that I meet my cameraman?
We had 2 cameramen. I think Tariq and Jim coming in. Yeah.
How important is it? Am I going to stand here and perhaps go to blows with this giant and get arrested in Africa? Should I just leave him out there? And we had done Good Morning Ghana that morning, Charlene and I. And on that show, I said I liked it so much I didn't want to go home. So we came out, we were walking down the street. People say, hey, America, man, you don't have to go home. You can stay. You can stay.
I remember.
So one of the guys in that airport in Ghana then were nowhere near like airports that you go to in the United States or other parts of the country, because around the airport, they had created a whole native situation. Fires are going, the drums are playing, the meat is on the...
It was being built. It was being rebuilt again.
Rebuilt and spread it out. Yeah. Well, one of the guys on the other side of the fence said, hey, Tropical Beat. Hey, Tropical Beat. Mm-hmm. How you doing? And this big, monstrous guard looked at me and he said, are you from Tropical Beat? And I took my business card out and I said, yes, I am. I'm the producer. He said, you can go in. So I got in the airport with my business card from Tropical Beat where they wouldn't accept my passport.
I remember, that was funny.
That was funny, right? And
then that was a good trip.
To round that trip out, we were invited to a party with the president and so-and-so from Ghana Airways. And Ghana Airways, to me, was one of the best airlines that you could fly. I mean, in fact, it was documented. They had...
You would never even hear them when they landed. And we flew many, many, many times.
Well, we're at the
Numerous
party,
times,
and
I should
we're
say.
having a great time and eating and drinking and camaraderie and the whole thing. And Charlene said, we better hurry up and get to the airport so we don't miss our flight. And I said, don't you see all of our pilots standing over there having a good time? They were having a great time. We didn't know that we were at the president of the airline's home. But that's been a great experience, and we miss it. Yes, we miss it, and we want to get back into it. And I'm sure that you folks who used to watch Tropical Beat, I know a lot of you younger ones might not remember, but your parents do. We're going to take you back. We take you places that you wouldn't normally get to go. That's what she said.
Yeah, that's true. And we're trying to release the shows as I release the Legends of Tropical Beat, the new book, which I've really been documenting for years as we travel to different places. So I'm trying to pick out maybe the top 10 places with the top 10 adventures, maybe. And then that'll be volume one.
Figure that out.
I don't know. Well, I know the first volume one it started in Jamaica, but then Jamaica will come in and out many times.
That's the basis.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. And I'm trying to think what else we're doing. We're working on, hey, it's Thanksgiving coming.
Yes, it is.
And I left my new cookbook in the car. It's not a new cookbook, really. It's got a new cover and it's got 12 extra pages. But it's right in time for Thanksgiving.
That's excellent.
And maybe next week I can sneak a couple of pages on.
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Called Mother's Daughter's Cookbook. She's saying that book. Charlene has written 6 books in the last 2 years. And every one of them has been successful. Now, the one that we really want to get out and get circulated and get given away to troops as they come home is the Welcome Home Veterans book that she spent all of that time that she spent writing. And we have found out now from comments coming back, that it actually does work. It does help some of the guys. I've been out over 50 years and I still read a page or 2 out of it every day because it kind of gives you an outlet. It does. One of the chapters is learn how to talk to somebody that wants to listen.
Everybody doesn't want to hear your story over and over and over
again. Right. You know, I mean, the things that some of us saw and did during that time stayed with us. Most of the guys. I mean, you might not show it. You might be one of the guys that can carry the weight and not have it affect your day-to-day life. But there are so many, and these young kids coming home, it was 22 to 69 suicides a day. That's wrong.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
And it lets you know that you're not alone, because a lot of the behavior I describe in the book, and I try to do it from a positive point of view so I don't turn you off right away at least. You find, hey, I do that. I do that, or whatever. And you know, I believe, Ed, that the same trauma that the veterans experience when they return home are some of the same symptoms that your prisoners, your inmates experience when they return back into society.
Yes.
And and they can be successfully treated, or maybe even treat themselves up to a point.
Well,
by the same techniques.
What we were talking about again with Carol Adams last week. You know, again, I was volunteered in the Sheriff's Department for like 7 years. And I said last week, most of the guys in there were nice guys, that we came into contact with, but guys that had a problem. The drugs are, we thought this was over.
People on that codeines and Percocet, they are not nice people when they're on it.
Oh yeah, they get mean.
They're very mean.
So
and that's a whole different cup of tea, I think. That's when you have to deal with the real doctors. Not that, I don't know, that's probably.
The real doctors.
They go too.
Doctors are getting arrested for using their own product.
They are.
This new generation of painkillers it seems to me like it's almost like a plan. Let's get as many of them addicted as we can.
They just never knew their own were going to get addicted. But now I read today where a couple of states, or maybe a couple of insurance companies, are denying payments for it. So the doctor's going to have to find something else to prescribe, because a couple of insurance companies are not going to honor those prescriptions. And I say good.
Well, it's good, but it's not good for the person that's suffering the pain, because initially they do need the painkiller.
They can
Okay.
find something else.
Well, hey, marijuana.
I don't know where they can find something else that's not addictive. I have nothing against that. But I'm just saying they can find something else. And I'm sure, you know, you used to go to the doctor and they give you this, and I've come back with prescriptions and say, I'm not taking that. And go get a Tylenol and get pain relief. You know, so sometimes I think they were over prescribing because the pharmaceutical companies were rewarding them for it.
Hello, caller.
Oh, yes, sir. Miss Ed, I had to call back because I was listening to you and your wife. But see, what are they going to do without drugs? See, I'm trying to tell you, and nobody seems to listen. The cat is out of the bag. What are they going to do? They're running up and down the street. They'll be stabbing people because they can't help themselves, sir. Now look at the people that's in the choir. A lot of them, they're not from here. They're from everywhere.
Yeah.
They used to have people that would go over and befriend those guys lost one leg. They're not crazy on dope or nothing.
No.
Some religions or lost legs, and they used to go.
They still go. Some people still
And
go.
become friends with people.
Well, we still do that, though. I'm in McGuire quite a bit.
No, it's not because everything is screened and who are you? See, Satan is trying to block everything to help somebody. See, they got them boys in there and they don't really want to help them.
Oh, no. Absolutely not.
I ain't gonna believe nothing, not anymore. No, it's finished.
They've helped you
I'm
though.
only looking up. I'm only looking up.
Well,
But they do everything that they can to make things worse than better. Because God don't see it. You can't fool him.
yeah, it's
And you
true.
cannot make a deal. You're not gonna make a deal with this. So I just had to call back. The cat is out the bag. Satan only wants money and destruction.
Okay.
So good evening, sir.
Okay, good evening to you. Thanks again. Well, that's a point, you know. But there are organizations, old and new, brand new and starting up, whose purpose is to go in to these prisons, these jails, these storehouses.
And hospitals.
And hospitals, and talk to these people, as the lady was saying, they used to be, but it has been recognized that it's not happening. And that's why you see
As
all
much.
these new organizations that are starting up to do it. Our church is doing it, and Veterans Day is coming up. I should have started out by saying something about that. Congratulations to you guys. Welcome home to everybody that's been and back. Welcome home. Thank you, all of the wives and lovers and people that sat and waited while we went and did what we did and welcomed us back with open arms. Sometimes not the best situation, but a situation, and it's time to be recognized. And that's coming up this week. Our church group is going up to the Vietnam Wall on the 8th.
Today?
Today. It is today. That's right. And they've gone up there, and each member is going to read off 15 names, and you know, it's different now than it was, but it's better now as far as recognition. I've gotten so many thank you for your services. I've gotten more in the last year than I did in the last 50 years. People come up and say, and go out of their way to say, welcome home. I just want to thank you. Welcome home. And it's
They do, and it's a privilege.
And we get on the post, you know, like we say, Charlene does her book signings on. We've been very fortunate to be able to go on to the different military bases and have her do her book signings. But the camaraderie, I mean, I'm seeing guys and folks that I haven't seen in 40 or 50 years, and they're telling
And
us that,
I'm discussing some of his old tales with some of the people that were with him. And they say, you know you're married to a hero. And I said, yeah, of course I do. They said, no, for real. I was over there with him in where were you, Laos? And excuse me, I'm not supposed to say, some other places. And they said, you've got to get him to tell. You can tell the stories now because it's over so many years. I think, I don't know. Maybe I don't want to hear them.
No.
But anyway, it's nice to know that, and it does make a difference. I've lived in another country, and we do experience freedoms here in America that you don't have. I lived in Jamaica, West Indies for 10 years, 68 to 78, around that time. And you still couldn't criticize the government the way we can over here. I mean, and that was a democracy, is a democracy. But you better not, I mean, people would disappear or end up dead because you were just going against the government in charge. You just don't do that. I really learned to appreciate and love America having lived abroad. And I was one of those diehards against the war and against this and against that. But now I see, you know, we have rights to protect, and that's why everybody has to vote.
That's it. And you came out. Didn't hurt, did it? For you to go out and spend, what, an hour?
But still, it was only 37%.
That I cannot understand. And, you know, in the last couple of years, especially with President Obama, with him running and whatnot, it was kind of hammered in how important the vote is and what you can do if you get out and do the vote. And it was also explained that you don't just vote for president. There's a path that leads to the presidency. And it starts out like we did yesterday. We voted for delegates. We voted for county officials. We voted for state officials, city officials. And that some of those people that were elected today or yesterday will be the people that are on the top in the next 5 or 10 years.
But you know what I love?
What's that?
When I was a kid in Richmond segregated schools, I went to Norrell, and a lady named Mrs. Yelverton, I believe, was the principal. I think she was the principal. And every time we had the city voted, she had us voting. You know, she had voting booths brought in, and the kids would go there and learn how to vote. And we were very much attuned to what was going on. Now, our daughter Tandi put up the cutest post, excuse me, on Facebook with Kyle, our grandson, encouraging everybody to go out and vote. And I mean, he knew all the delegates by name. He didn't have to read anything.
Every last one of them.
And he was,
I didn't even hear of.
And then he said, and that's it, I'm out. And I'm just so proud of him.
9 years old, knew every delegate's name, knew all of the people that were on the Democratic roster, read off all of their names.
No, he didn't read them off. He knew them.
He just used them right off of his mind, and then he said, "No Republicans."
And he said, "No, you've got to go out and vote. It's so important." And he meant that.
Yeah.
And we are very proud of him for that. So way to go, Kyle.
But see, that's the way he's been taught.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the way we were taught. I was anyhow.
I was
as a
too.
kid. And that's what's missing now. There's a level, a generation, maybe of young people, maybe not so young, who missed out on parenting them. There's a whole generation, basically, they grew up without parents. And was the first drug war. That's when the heroin, and not so much heroin, crack and...
Crack was awful.
Crack is the worst.
What happened to it? Is it still around?
There's still some crackheads around, but they kind of realize, and I think that there's no future in that. That's death. There's no future in that.
There's no future in this other stuff coming out. People are dying every day from that.
Well, that's because of the type of drug. That drug is killing them. Oxycodone, but they're putting something else in the oxycodone.
Wow.
It's felonies. I can't, again, my memory's kind of shot.
Stop saying that. You remember everything you want to remember.
I can't.
And one of the brightest men I know.
I'm one of the brightest men I know, too.
Oh, gosh.
So, but anyway, I can't remember. I had brain surgery. I haven't experienced
That's an excuse. He uses it when he wants to, but when I want to tell him he didn't say something, I know what I said. I remember.
Yeah.
So you know how these men are, ladies. We do know how you are.
You hear this? You hear this? You think I'm going to invite her back on the show again? You see? So
You want a nice dinner?
I got money, honey.
Okay.
So I was gonna take you out to dinner. See that?
Okay. I guess I blew it.
There you go.
Okay.
Now you see, this is one of the benefits of being married to your friend, because we do get a chance to laugh and have fun, teasing each other and carrying on. And you know, my mother used to say, "I don't know how you two get along, because both of you talk all the time."
Not me.
That's what I said.
Well, when I decide not to talk, is it, are you sick? Anything wrong? And I had a cold, and you can still hear I'm kind of hoarse now. So I'm limiting my conversation. I'm just here because you have nobody else. I mean,
I
you
don't
know
need
that's the
anybody
truth.
else.
But I'm not my normal jovial, talkative self.
You good.
I had to have the help of water.
Yeah.
And I thank the technicians in the back for getting it for me.
I'm still trying. You know, we started talking about tropical beat and where we wanted to go, and now I'm sitting here while we're talking about all this other stuff, thinking about where we want to go. And I want to go.
Well, I've got to go back to the Bahamas. That's where tropical beat is very popular right now,
yeah,
right there in the
that's going
Bahamas.
now.
And there's Chippy and the Junkanoo guys going on, and the best conch in the world. And gosh, anyway, I won't start talking about that.
Bahamas, and again, you know, most of you folks here in Richmond, anyhow, in Virginia, in the Virginia area, that's such an easy trip to go from here to the Bahamas. You can leave Richmond or Washington, D.C. at 7:30 in the morning and be on the beach at 12 o'clock.
Yeah, that's nice.
And not just be on the beach,
A nice
be
beach.
on one of the nicest beaches in the world.
Right.
So you hear us talk about Jamaica, Africa, France, all of the different places we've been. People used to ask, well, where do you go when you go on vacation? Go to the Bahamas. We come back from South Africa, we go to the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
We come back from Ghana, we go to the Bahamas and chill out. And I got to tell you, South Africa, especially up around KwaZulu-Natal and Durban, has some of the most beautiful beaches you want to see.
And you know where else I heard? Somebody was in Ghana recently, or maybe I met a Ghanaian, and they said, well, haven't you been to this beach? I said, no.
How you
because I know I hadn't been there because I didn't see that kind of beautiful beach. I guess because maybe I was thinking of slavery. The beaches I saw looked dangerous to me. You know that.
The hard water.
Yeah, and the way the tidal waves would pull you back in.
If you go down the coast from El Amin, there's a lagoon.
And that's where the beautiful
And
beaches
that's where
are.
they want to build all the new hotels. The oil companies want to build the hotels and everything back there. And
Well, I understand they built a lot, but I don't know.
No, I don't think they have yet. I think they want to build, but they haven't because Ghana's had a little problems themselves. But she's right that we were going to build hotels back there.
Yeah, they were gonna have a tropical beach hotel. We were laughing. We've had so many ventures, and many of them have been good. But as soon as we get other people involved in them, they just want to just take it and basically Ed and I are honest people, and we are fair people, and we don't want to take advantage of anybody, especially anybody's African country. And you always, when you have a good project going on, it's like the sharks just grab you or grab your project and just keep taking it. And you say, wait a minute, I didn't agree to that. That happened to me in southern France, even at oh gosh, I'm coming like you now, at Cannes, at the Cannes Festival, yeah. When somebody tried to rip off Jamaica, and I just said no. I lost probably $250,000 or more, but I don't believe in just stealing from people. They were going to steal from my reggae friends, and I didn't like that. But anyway, life goes on. We're still here. Some of those people aren't here anymore.
That's
you know,
true. They won't be back. Yeah, such things happen. But meanwhile, we've been here, 45 minutes?
I have no idea. And you're not supposed to look at you, watch on television.
Watch because 45 minutes, that young lady called who calls pretty often, and she called back twice, and she did have something positive to say. You know, she knows what she's talking about. And nobody else did. Were you guys mad at me this week?
They're watching the other news, I think.
What other news? There's no other news.
Yes, they're watching network news there.
That's that 6 to 7 o'clock. But that's
Yeah,
okay.
and you're the first show. You're the first show on this station today, and that has its drawbacks because nobody's audience was on before you, so people don't know that you're on, and probably because you didn't know who you were going to have, you didn't promote your show. And I didn't put it on Facebook because I've been sick all week. I didn't think I looked right.
Nah.
So he agreed. He
Yeah,
agreed.
he was sick. You know, you got to slow down a little bit too.
I got not slow down. I just got to not be around people that are going to cough on me. And you know, anytime you have a bunch of grandkids around, you're going to catch something. But I don't think I might have picked this up from somebody, one of my grandkids, our grandkids, especially the little one, the little politician.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, again, this weekend being Veterans Day, I've been asked to be the what do you call it?
Worship leader.
Worship leader at our church, and you know, I'm saying it in a very casual manner, but this is really a major happening. Okay, it's a major happening for me because
They don't know who they asked.
that's all right. I'm very honored that they.
You should be honored, but they don't know who they asked because he's going to get up. He comes from a family of ministers, preachers, as we should say. One of them was called the Sleeping Preacher of South Carolina, who's a legend. And he might not shut up once he starts.
Sermons in his sleep for 40 years.
And that's a true story.
True story. The Sleeping Preacher of Saluda County. You can look that up on Google. There's a whole page or 2 pages on there about Major Perry. That's my great grandfather, and he went into a trance at night and spoke and preached in perfect King's English and recited from the Bible meter, verse, and chapter. Now, this was a man that was a slave got out of slavery, spoke slave dialect, could not read or write, and for 40 years he spoke perfect King's English, preached, had a house full, people traveling to come and hear him minister.
They would stick him, I read in the paper, and he wouldn't feel it.
No,
and I used to think he wasn't telling the truth. Ed wasn't telling the truth because he can make up some good tales. He really can. But I found out when we went there, we went to a family reunion, and the newspaper, I can't believe you have your phone on. The newspaper, the newspaper documented. Are you kidding?
Yeah, I just told her I'd call her back. That's my sister. So, but go ahead.
I just can't believe you did that. The newspaper had an article about the sleeping preacher, and evidently it was true. They didn't have him preaching for 40 years, though. It was quite less than that. Mm-hmm. But it was a true story, basically, and because of that, people used to come from Washington, D.C. to hear him at a certain time when he would preach in his sleep. And I think you said that's how your family got the money, because they would
tend to the gentleman's horses. That's how the Perry boys made their fortunes. And that was my great-grandfather. And out of that episode in the Perry life, I was like, 29 acres of land I had out of it, and all of my cousins and everybody
else. There's a whole bunch of them.
All wound up with nice parcels of land in South Carolina. My grandfather himself was an actual legend himself, and they used to call him Man Perry. And he had his own property and his own crops, and we used to go down every August for get the crop in, help them, and then they'd have the services at the church because we had our own family church.
Revival, I think they call it, or something.
Revival, yeah.
Yeah. And I've actually seen the church, so that's a true story too.
Oh yeah. It goes back to 1814. The church down there, that's the Perry Church. And then
so we said this to say, when they asked him to be the worship leader, he might end up being the preacher.
No,
but we just kind of grab him off the stage, and say, time to go at.
Any vets out there that want to join us, they're more than welcome. We start services at 10 o'clock, and we'll be out by 12.
No, you're out by 11, yeah. So remember that.
Yeah, it's kind of
yeah, they don't
Don't fool around. Pastor
11:30 at the most. Yeah.
Pastor Yancey gets up and he says what he has to say, and
he's out of there.
he's out.
And he doesn't have people to come in there long and talking.
So,
I might have to
First
watch.
Union Baptist of Mechanicsville on Pole Green Road. And if my friends in New York could see this, they'd be falling out and saying, I don't believe it, because I didn't want to go to church. I didn't see any benefit in going to it other than preachers driving around in Mercedes or Cadillacs. And I used to tell my mother, when I can buy you a car like that, then I'll start going to church.
But in all fairness, I believe in a higher spirit. I believe in God, but a lot of these churches are just full of it. I mean, they're just grabbing the people's money. When you have a minister that's riding around in a big, expensive car, living in a huge house, and his what do you call them, parishioners are basically scrambling to give their tithes every week, I have a problem with that.
Yes.
I really do. I have a problem with that. But this minister appears to be sincere, and his family's nice, and he preaches a good message. And a lot of it's about God helps those that help themselves. You know, you just don't stand on, just keep on your knees and keep praying and praying. You know, you got to get up. Yeah, you got to work. You got to work. So that's my philosophy too.
Yeah, well, we're doing a lot. We're doing a lot community-wise, and that's what Pastor Yancey is pushing for. He's pushing for us to be more involved in the community and
in the church.
In the church and
with the children.
One of the things that I like, I actually love about the church is all the young people that we have in there. We have so many kids. And they
let them be kids. They're not just saying sit down and shut up, you know, and behave. That's not.
Huge playground for them to play in. We have children's church where they go to a separate service than us.
And they can have refreshments.
And they can have refreshments, but they also get lessons. Yeah. They get lessons. And it's just a whole like old time family type thing. It's 134 years old. Church is. It's an historic church, and
I don't think anybody's going to come there shooting it up either. Not that we want to encourage anybody to try, but since I've been there, they have what kind of ministry is that? Martial arts? Not a martial arts.
Security.
Security. Yeah. And you've got a lot of veterans there, so you can feel safe going there because they're looking at all the entrances. Nobody can just walk in there.
We have a security team. We also, with Sensei, who you met several times, if you've been watching the show over the years, we teach martial arts. We teach traditional Shotokan karate, but we also teach self-defense. And as we were saying last week, Sensei was kind enough to give up his time so Carol could have more time to run right in for sheriff to talk. But this self-defense thing is very serious. We teach children how to deal with bullying. We teach women how to safely go from the door to the store to the safety of their home.
And you teach women how to handle their husbands if they get out of order.
Yeah, well, that's up to them. I mean, that's not the plan. We're definitely trying to teach you to protect yourself, and that's against anybody. So if it happens to be domestic, do what we showed you how to do, get safe, call the police, and then get rid of the person. Sounds like sense to me.
Me too.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about?
Stop looking at your watch.
I'm looking at my watch because I don't want us to go over because we get going on the subject now. We're going to do Tropical Beat. We spoke about that.
And I'm going to, if you look on my Facebook page under Charlene Warner Coleman, you could also look, I'm going to put up I have a Facebook page for Mothers to Daughters Cookbook, and you can see how to order it. But also on my page, I'm going to put a reference up to the Mothers to my books page, and then you can order from there. I don't have them on Amazon or on the other internet sites where you order because I sell my books for one price, and they were giving me 84 cents. You seen it? I couldn't believe it. So no, don't order from somebody's getting the money, but it wasn't me. So I will, I'll do a 5-day turnaround. If you want to order from me, send your money, and you can do through PayPal right away, and you get your book at least up to 5 days, not after that. So I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah. So that'll be something that you can look forward to. So we're talking about tropical beat, and I'm going back to that because that's good. We were in South Africa. We had, and you heard me probably, those of you who have watched the show, have heard me talk about how we met the king of the Zulu nation. 14 million subjects. One of the last kings that can do this, okay? And we were invited to talk to him for 15 minutes in security, all around everything. We walked in, the man took my hand and took Charlene's hand, and he just held them and closed his eyes. And after about 3 minutes, he opened his eyes and he looked at his security and he told him, go.
Yeah, they can read you.
And
it's
we
amazing
stayed
how
there
they
for,
develop
what,
the census.
At least 2 hours. And then he invited us to his daughter's graduation from MBA.
Yeah, from one of those Oxford type universities
that the blacks in South Africa
could go to a few years before.
And we went and we were there, watched the celebration. It was just amazing to see the graduation as they called people up. The different tribes would play the drums and so and so. And then they had a reception afterward upstairs, and we were invited up, and we met the royalty from Swaziland.
They say we have 3 minutes to go. Can I tell people why they should order my book right fast?
Go ahead.
Okay, this is why you want to order Mothers to Daughters cookbook, because I have a great recipe for a turkey with oyster stuffing and with the regular stuffing and then I have seafood casserole, gumbo, chili, macaroni and cheese, bread pudding, real sweet potato pie, and the best greens in town, and all kinds of good food in there. So you really need to check it out because that's the way we lay out our table for Thanksgiving.
And it's like a feast. We won't
and
tell
you can have
when.
one. I might cook this year. I'm trying to decide.
Yeah, we're going to see about that. I might do something a little different. We celebrated 15 years this year, so this is a momentous year. This is a landmark.
But 20 years of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's right. And 20 years of really great Thanksgivings.
So, Ed, it's your show. You take it away.
I want you
I'm out
guys
of here.
to tune in next week. All right. Tell somebody. I know somebody out there is watching. Tell your friends. And next week, I'm making you a promise. We'll be on a hot topic. Now, what that topic will be, I have no idea.
And if you want to be a guest, call in.
Yeah. That. If you'd like to get on and tell your folks about something that you want important, and we can come to terms on it, why don't you make yourself a guest? You can give me a call. Got your pen out? Remember I told you to get that pen? 804-714-7983. 804-714-7983. And that's to see if you want to be a guest on the show, if we have some kind of meeting on the mind on that. That's if you want to get involved with any of the self-defense classes. And also, if you just want to just say hi to Ed, I don't care. Just give me a call. Okay? Look forward to seeing you here. Same time next week. And next week, we're also going to try to do the video that we did the broadcast on the phones the other week. People seem to like that.
And we might just take it from our TV show and just put the Facebook thing on that.
You can do that.
But until next week, you tune in to Conversations with Ed, okay? And tell all your friends. It's all about this guy on this show.
And we thank you for welcoming your homes tonight, okay? So with that being said, put on the music, guys. I got to give my buddy big ups, Bobby Boyd.
Frank Abel.
And Frank. No, this is Bobby and Frank, yeah, but it is Bobby's song.
Okay.
But it's called...
Thumbs up, Bobby.